Hi everyone, kamusta kayo? I hope we are all safe right now. Today I will be discussing to you the module 1 of this subject, Professional Development and Applied Ethics, with the course code Tourism 106. And I will be your instructor for this subject. I am Herminaldo Estilong from the Department of Public Administration in our College of Management. So today we will be talking about the 4 lessons in our Module 1, and we have professional development and its planning process. Lesson 2 will be ethics and its branches, and lesson 3 applied ethics, and then professional ethics. So before we proceed to our lesson 1, let me ask you one question. Ano ba yung mga professions na alam ninyo na matatawag nating professional work? Ano ba yung mga trabaho or mga activity na ginagawa ng isang tao o isang individual para matawag nating isang professional work? So, siguro, inisip nyo dyan is we have engineers, di ba? We have teachers, we have doctors, di ba? So, maraming mga klase ng isang professional work. We have also different kinds of jobs na meron din sa hospitality management. So, later on, pag-usapan natin ano ba yung mga professions or ano ba yung definition or mga qualification para matawag tayong mga professionals. Okay? So, let's proceed to our lesson 1. But before we go to that, let me minimize my face here para mas makita ninyo yung lesson natin. Okay. So, yan. So, lesson 1 would be professional development and its planning process. So, let's start with this discussion. So professional development is the process of identifying goals and learning new skills to help you grow and succeed at work. So pinag-usapan dyan ang mga skills. Meron tayong mga competencies or mga expertise ninyo para mas mag-grow kayo at mas ma-enhance yung mga capabilities niyo and you will succeed at work. So, we are talking also about the process. So, pag sinabi mong process, there are certain steps you need to cover for you to enhance your skills and help you grow as a professional. So, now there are also elements of the professional development. We have vision, knowledge, and skills, formal and informal assessments, and individual development plan. So, we have vision. So, pag sinabi mong vision, a professional person always have the vision. Remember that. Kapag masasabi mo ang isang professional na tao ay maraming mga goals, merong mga bagay na gusto niyang i-achieve. And beyond that goals, we have this vision. So, vision is your ability to foresee things beyond ideas. So, you can predict things. Ano ba ang magiging kahihinatnan ng proyektong ito, ng programang ito, or ng kursong ito. Diba? So, I hope you all have this vision for yourself. So, we have also knowledge and skills. For you to develop as professionals, you must have the knowledge and skills. So, you must be a skilled person. In this sense, you are capable of doing things according to your expertise. Ang tanong, meron ba kayong expertise? Ano ba yung mga expertise ninyo? Papasok na dyan ang formal and informal assessment. So, you are going to evaluate yourself. You are going to evaluate your expertise and knowledge on the things you want to develop for yourself. Ano ba yung kaya kong gawin? Ano ba yung doon ako magaling? Diba? So, formal and informal assessments na yun. So, we have also individual development plan. So, you must have the plan. Everything starts from a plan. A plan is inseparable to development. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo pwedeng tanggalin ang planning sa kahit anong proseso ng development or enhancement of any uh, skills or abilities of a person or an organization. So without a plan, you are just performing and performing without any direction. So para ka lang tumatakbo sa isang daanan o kaya sa oval, paikot-ikot ka lang, wala kang pupuntahan. So pag wala kang plano, parang ganun yung sitwasyon natin. Now, here are the specific process of professional development planning. So, ano bang dapat gawin natin? So, we have to set our direction, we have to identify our competencies, and we need to do self-assessment and have our individual development plan, and then we need to implement it. Now, first step is to set your direction. In setting your direction, the first thing you need to do is to identify or examine your work values, like feeling of accomplishments or contributions. So we are talking about here the diversity, kung ano ba yung values mo when it comes to the diversity of the organization. So diversity in a way na you are working with people with different backgrounds. So, paano ba or ano ba yung behavior mo with regards to that? So, may iba't ibang kultura, may iba't ibang practices na ginagawa ang isang organization o isang kumpanya. So, how are you going to deal with that? Another is autonomy. So, it's about working independently. So, remember, your work values will direct your destination. Ano bang ethical behavior meron ka? Ano bang motivation ang pinanghahawakan mo? So, what are my intrinsic values? Or so we called it your inside qualities. Ano ba yung nagiging behavior mo within, or ano ba yung motivation mo within? Gusto mo bang nagtatrabaho ka ba, or gusto mo bang magtrabaho para sa ikalalago ng skills mo, ng competencies mo, or you are motivated by extrinsic values, what we call this, the salaries, the incentives. So ano ba yung values meron ka within that context? So what are your lifestyle values? So it's about how do you live? Paano ka ba nabubuhay ngayon? Paano ba yung way of life mo? What are your preferences, choices, or decisions you have made in your life? So now, these questions will help you to identify your personal ethics, which will lead you to a good direction as a professional later on. So later on, we will talk about the ethics, which is part of the foundation of professional development. So the second thing you need to do is to assess your work experience. So para ito sa mga may trabaho na. So for example, yung iba sa inyo is nag-work na, right? So meron dang mga trabaho, you are employed. Some of you are not yet employed, you are full-time student. But let's open our imagination that you are working as a manager in a hotel or restaurant or even sa barko, di ba? So, ang nakikita ko kasi sa hospitality management, mas maganda ang career nila pag nasa mga shipment activities sila, di ba? So, mga barko. Trabaho nyo, mga nasa barko. Pero, of course, hindi lang naman yung destination natin. But let us open our imagination that you are working as a manager in that particular setting. Now, what are the highlights of your duties as a manager? Ano ba yung mga contributions na i-provide mo na? Kung hindi ka pa nagtatrabaho, or ano ba yung mga contributions na pwede mong ibigay or na pwede mong i-contribute or ibigay sa kumpanya na pwedeng gamitin ng company as their asset. And you can also use that as your competency. Yung mga kaya mong gawin para sa trabaho, ano ba yung mga yun? So you are going na to evaluate your experience or your abilities in a way na pwede mong ibigay or i-contribute sa pupuntahan mo. So what contributions can you provide in a workplace? So these are the things you need to set in order for you to determine your direction. And of course, vision of success. So ano ba ang nakikita mo sa sarili mo 5 years from now? 10 years from now? Do you see yourself as a sales lady in Robinsons or sa City Mall, CSI? Nakikita mo ba yung sarili mo na sales lady or salesman? Or do you see yourself as a waiter in a Jollibee? So, ano ba yung nakikita mo? Or do you see yourself as a supervisor, division head, or a manager, or marketing head, or even a manager? Wag lang floor manager, ha? Class, dream for yourself. You are here in college not just to have a job, not just to graduate, but to have a professional job you are destined for. Okay? Do not deprive yourself. Do not discourage yourself. And do not underestimate yourself on the direction you want to lead yourself. Okay? Marahil hindi mo pa nakikita yung sarili mo ngayon. Pero later on, as you grow on, you need to identify that vision. Ano bang gusto ko pagka-graduate ko? Ano bang profession ang gusto kong i-take as a hospitality management student? After you graduate, what do you see yourself? That's part of developing your professional skills within yourself. So, second step would be identifying competencies. You have that vision, you have that values, and you have that assessment on your capacities or your experience in terms of the different activities within the hospitality management. Now, what we are going to do now is to identify your competencies. When we say competencies, these are simply means your skills, your specialization, your expertise. Saan ka ba magaling? Saan ka ba nangunguna? Okay? When it comes to skills, we are talking about communication skills, interpersonal problem solving, flexibility, leadership, and time management. What skills do you possess? Meron ka bang ganitong skills? Kaya mo bang makipag-communicate effectively? Or kaya mo bang mag-lead ng mga tao? So in communication skills, paano ka ba nagsasalita? How do you speak? Or how do you write your letters when you do communications? So, paano ba yung way of communication mo? Your body language, your hand gestures, diba? So, what we need to do is to learn to communicate in a constructive way, in a proper manner. Okay? So, that's part of competencies or identifying competencies within you. Especially you are in the hospitality industry. You are going to talk with customers, with your clients. This is very important skills that you must possess. We have also interpersonal skills. Pag sinabi mong interpersonal skills, it is also known as human relation skills or social skills. Your ability to interact, negotiate, and gain the confidence of other people to you. Okay? In other words, we are talking about yung pakikisama mo, yung how do you provide or gain the relationship within your co-workers, your employees, mga kaibigan mo, ganyan. So, we have also problem solving. Sa problem solving, it is referred to the critical thinking skills that you have. Your ability to think quickly and manage problems and issues in the workplace. So, we have also flexibility. Ito naman yung kakayahan mo mag-adapt or your ability to adjust to changes. Yung mga schedules, for example, di ba, pag sa hospitality management, marami kayong mga schedules, marami kayong mga yung iba, shifting, di ba? So, how are you going to adjust with this kind of schedules? So, you need to be flexible. You need to adapt new opportunities. For example, technology. Kung maraming mga advanced technology sa isang company, you need to adopt this kind of technology in order for you to syempre makapag-catch up doon sa mismong sistema ng isang kumpanya. So that's being flexible. So leadership, meron ka bang kakayahang mag-impluwensya ng ibang tao? Do you have that ability to influence other people? Can you manage or handle people? So ngayon pa lang, if you are in leadership na, mayroon kayong organization, right? Student organization, meron tayong student body organization, meron din tayong doon sa program ninyo na organization or association. Sa inyo ata is charms. Basta yun. So, kung nasa leadership ka na, you need to develop that para later on, kapag nasa trabaho ka na and nasa professional work ka na, if you are going to be appointed as the head of a department, you can manage people in a way that meron ka ng experience, di ba? So, ngayon pa lang dapat din i-develop mo na. So, time management, it is being efficient in performance. So, dapat alam mo ding i-manage kung ano yung mga schedules mo, kung ano yung mga yung calendar mo, kailangan mong tignan, di ba? Part of time management yon. In order for you to be an efficient employee of a company, you need to learn this skill. So now, in hospitality management, here are some specialization of people in the hospitality industry. So, we have food and beverage, and also accommodation and lodging, and tourism. Meron din tayong tinatawag na MICE industry, wherein meron tayong meeting, incentive, travel, and conventions, and exhibitions. So, yun yung MICE industry. So, dapat alam na natin ito. As a hospitality management, meron na kayong skills or meron na kayong expertise with regards to this kind of competencies. Third step, self-assessment. In self-assessment, what you are going to do is to look on your strengths and weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses. Saan ka ba magaling? Saan ka ba mahina? So, self-assessment. Titingnan mo yung sarili mo ngayon. Saan ba ako magaling? Ano ba yung kahinaan ko? So, kung magaling ka sa food and beverage, yun yung strengths mo. Kung mahina ka naman sa communication or tourism, diba? Yun naman yung weaknesses mo. Now, remember that your strengths are your weapon in the development of your professional career. So, yung strengths na meron ka ngayon, kung saan ka magaling ka bang magluto, magaling ka bang mag-design, magaling ka bang mag-prepare ng table setting, mga ganyan. So, develop that strength and it will be your weapon in a professional career development. You are going to do after your graduation. So, lobat na yung laptop ko. Okay. So, Lobat na yung laptop ko. I-charge ko muna yan. Alright, so we have that strength and weaknesses. And weaknesses are the barriers of your personal development. Of course, kapag may mga kahinaan ka, yun yung magiging hadlang para hindi ka mag-grow. So, kailangan mong i-develop yung weaknesses na yon, kailangan mong i-improve para pwede mong gamitin yon na maging motivation mo para mas lumago pa yung kakayahan mo. Okay? So, we have also individual development plan. So, yung individual development plan must be smart. Pag sinabi mong smart, is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Dapat, naka-angkla lang siya doon sa smart na yun. Also, it must compose of your goals, activities, measurements, resources, and timeline. So, this plan will serve as your guide. Ano ba yung mga specific things na kailangan mong gawin and i-accomplish. So ngayon, the last step would be the implementation. So sa implementation, gagawin mo na ngayon lahat ng mga plinano mo. Lahat ng evaluation mo, lahat ng mga assessment na ginawa mo, you are now going to implement it. So, the individual development plan that you have prepared, that will be your basis of what are you going to implement. All of the process, especially your individual development plan, must be implemented. Okay? So, here are some template of the plan. So, sinend ko sa inyo yan. So, ngayon, we have goal description, course of action, measurable definition of success, resources needed, and the target date. Ano ba yung mga goals ninyo? Dapat specific, dapat measurable, and then dapat attainable, and realistic, and time-bound. Course of action, ano bang gagawin mo para ma-achieve mo yung goal na yon? Then, measurable definition, paano mo masasabi na na-achieve mo na yung goal na yon? Ano ba yung mga kailangan mong resources? Ano ba yung mga materials, machineries, manpower, diba? Ano pa? Money. Ano ba yung mga kailangan mo? Resources. Target date, kailan mo ito sisimulan and kailan mo ito matatapos. Okay, so that ends our lesson 1. For lesson 2, we are going to talk about ethics and its branches. So when we talk about ethics, this is one of the great foundation of professional development. So when we say ethics, it involves systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. It seeks to resolve questions of human morality by defining concepts such as good and evil, right and wrong, virtue and vice, justice and crime. So it also composed of moral principles and ethical judgment. So in other words, pag pinag-uusapan natin ang ethics, we are talking about morality. Morality, and it talks about what is wrong and what is right. Ano bang tama, ano bang mali. So, dahil may ethics, it seeks to resolve questions like what? Like this, questions of morality. We have, how should we live? Paano ba dapat mamuhay ang isang tao? Paano ba dapat mabuhay ang isang human being? So, there are different teachings. So, bakit naging question ito? Kasi nga, madaming hindi alam paano ko ba i-achieve yung ultimate goal of human life. Diba? So, ngayon, merong mga teachings na i-provide. There are different teachings of how we should live. And these teachings originally came from different philosophers, theologians, churches, or religion. So, paano ba, kung ikaw tatanungin, paano ka ba dapat mamuhay? Alam mo ba kung paano mamuhay kung wala yung mga parents mo, kung wala ang simbahan, kung wala kang natutunan? Hindi, di ba? So, ngayon, dahil sa mga teachings na meron ngayon ang society, we are bounded to this kind of rules or principles kung paano tayo mamuhay. Say for example, you are familiar with Buddhism, right? Ang katuruan ng Buddhism is we should live in the middle way. Paano dapat mamuhay? Mamuhay daw tayo dapat sa gitna. Middle way. Ibig sabihin is hindi sobra, hindi masyadong mayaman, hindi masyadong mahirap, hindi masyadong masagana, hindi din masyadong walang-wala, ganyan. O kaya hindi rin masyadong magarbo yung celebration, hindi rin masyadong hindi maganda, ganyan. So, dapat nasa gitna lang dapat siya. We should live in a middle way. We should live in a right direction, right mindset, ganyan. So, maraming mga teachings ang Buddhism na pwede ninyong matutunan at pwede din ninyong i-apply. Because wala namang masama sa mga teachings as long as yun yung convictions ninyo and then nakakatulong sa inyo. So, ganun sa Buddhism. Meron din sa Confucianism. Sorry. Ayan. Sa Confucianism, meron tayong tinatawag na golden rule, di ba? Alam niyo yun. Wag mong gawin mo sa iba ang gusto mong gawin nila sa'yo. So, alam natin yan. So, si Socrates naman, sabi niya, dapat sa pamumuhay natin, alam natin kung sino tayo. Self-knowledge. Kaya nga sinabi niya, the unexamined life is not worth living. So, pag hindi mo daw kilala yung sarili mo, walang silbi ang pamumuhay natin. Di ba? Ganda ng philosophy niya. Finding out the goodness within you. So, sabi ni Socrates, kailangan mo daw tignan or hanapin kung ano ba yung kagandahan na meron ka. The goodness within you. So, kay Plato and Aristotle naman, sabi nila, we should live in the searching for the truth. Kailangan daw nating malaman kung ano yung truth. Ano ba yung truth? Paano ba natin malalaman yun? Or kung ano ba yung truth? And the truth is knowledge. The knowledge we need to gain and we need to acquire. So, kailangan daw mag-gain tayo ng mga knowledge na ito para malaman natin yung truth. And meron silang separate na philosophies when it comes to achievement of truth or achievement of knowledge. Sabi ni Plato, we can know the truth, napupudol ako we can know the truth if we are going to look above. Okay? So, malalaman daw natin yung katotohanan, yung knowledge na yon kung nagaling yun sa itaas. O ibig sabihin, there is a divine aspect na pwede nating i-gain or there is a divine power na kailangan nating ma-receive or i-remember para malaman kung ano yung truth na yon. We just need to remember, sabi ni Plato. Sabi naman ni Aristotle, hindi sapat na inaalala lang natin or nire-remember lang natin kung ano yung truth na yon. What we need to do is to search for it or to acquire that knowledge, to train that knowledge within us in order to know the truth. So, masyado na tayong lumalayo. No? So, sabi naman ng Christianity, sa Christian doctrines, diba? We should live according to the commandments of God. So, syempre, as bilang isang Kristiyano, we need to live according to the law of God, to the divine commandments, right? So, you see, there are a lot of teachings that became a questions of morality. The question is, are they the right thing to do? Which of them is true? Diba? These are questions of morality. Is it right to be dishonest in good cause? So, meron tayong tanong dyan, di ba? Tama bang magsinungaling? Kahit maganda naman ang intention mo. Mabuti naman ang hangarin mo. Pero mali naman ang pamamaraan mo. Tama ba yun? For example, nagsinungaling ka para hindi matanggal sa trabaho yung kaibigan mo. Nagsinungaling ka para makapasa sa klase ko. Ngayon, if you will think as a Christian, kung Kristiyano ka, alam mo na mali ang magsinungaling. Sabi nga nila, sin is sin. Wrong is wrong. Your end doesn't justify your means. In politics, hindi mo pwedeng i-justify yung pamamaraan mo doon sa gusto mong mangyari. So, maganda ang hangarin mo. Tama man ang hangarin mo. Kung mali ang pamamaraan mo, mali pa rin ang ginawa mo. Sir, question. Paano naman kung ako naman yung masasaktan kung hindi ako magsisinungaling? Kung hindi ko gagawin kung gagawin ko yung tama. Diba? Well, if you think that your choice or your decision to tell the truth will hurt you the most, then you must bear to your mind the consequences of that decision. Okay? For example, nahuli mong may kabit yung tatay mo. Okay. So, nahuli mong may kabit yung tatay mo. And pag sinabi mo yung totoo sa nanay mo, sasaktan ka ng tatay mo. And pag sinabi mo naman pag nagsinungaling ka is hindi ka masasaktan. So ngayon, anong gagawin mo? Sasabihin mo ba yung totoo? Well, in that case, you need to count the cost. Ibig sabihin, alamin mo muna ang bigat ng desisyon na gagawin mo. Kung gagawin mo yung tama, anong consequence? Kung gagawin mo yung mali, anong consequence? So, ano ba ang consequence kapag ginawa ko ito? Kaya ko bang harapin ang consequence na ito? Kapag sinabi mo yung totoo, ganyan. Kapag sinabi mo kapag nagsinungaling ka, kaya mo bang panindigan? Or kaya mo bang i-accept yung consequence na yon? Once kaya mo nang i-accept yung consequence na gagawin mo, ay yung consequence ng decision mo, then, of course, you must do the right thing to do. Okay? You must still do your best to do what is right regardless of its consequences. In that case, you will receive a gift from above, and that is peace of mind, protection, and love. Okay, so malakas na yung ulan ngayon. I hope na hindi nyo naririnig yung ulan. Umabagyo ata. Kasama na rin yung kulog. Ayan. So, sige, tuloy natin. So, philosophy of Plato. When it comes to morality kasi, Plato has a great contribution about it. So, I hope, ang lakas ng ulan, grabe na didistract ako. So, when it comes to morality, Plato has a great contribution about it. So, sabi ng isang moral question, if morality was created by God, according to theology, is God the only one who can approve what is good and what is evil? Sabi ni Plato, there must be standards of right and wrong which are independent of the likes and dislikes of God. So, dapat, hindi lang si God daw ang nag-a-approve kung ano yung good and kung ano yung evil. Dapat, meron din tayong standards or mga rules, mga principles na sinusunod kung ano ba ang tama and ano yung mali. Now, Plato is a disciple of Socrates. Siya yung follower ni Socrates. Socrates is very well-known Socrates is well-known for his great philosophy to know the good is to do the good. So sabi niya, to know the good is to do the good. So Socrates also taught that the unresearched life is not to be lived by man. So in other words, the unexamined life is not worth living. So parang sinabi ko kanina, di ba? Pag di mo daw kilala ang sarili mo, your life is not worth living. Tanong, do you know yourself? So, in professional development, self-assessment is very important. So, going back to Plato, he proposed that there must be standards of right and wrong. Standards is the principles of judgment in morality. Ito yung mga sinusunod na pananaw sa pagbibigay ng desisyon kung tama ba o mali ang isang bagay. And dito, papasok ang mga branches of ethics in which these principles are explained in these branches. So we have branches of ethics which is reflected also in your module. So number 1 is branch of ethics is the descriptive ethics. So pag sinabi mong descriptive ethics, moral principles are based on the belief of people on what is right and what is wrong, and what is acceptable and not acceptable based on law. So ibig sabihin, ito yung paniniwala na nakabase sa kaisipan ng tao. Diba may batas tayo? And yun ang nagsasabi kung tama ba o mali ang ginagawa natin. For example, killing the mistress of your wife or husband. Tama ba o mali? Mali ang pagpatay. Kasi nga, makakasuhan tayo ng parricide, sabi ng batas. Mali, killing is wrong. And kahit sa anong bali-baliktarin mo, according to the belief of the people, killing is not right. But, according to the law, sabi ng batas, may exception. May exemption. You will not be held criminally liable with the law if you caught them in actual manner of adultery. So, ibig sabihin, pag daw naaktuhan mo na yung asawa mo, dapat yung asawa mo, legal ha? Pag daw naaktuhan mo na yung asawa mo is nakapatong or they are doing sexual intercourse with his or her mistress and napatay mo sila or kahit isa sa kanila or even na-injure mo sila, nabugbog mo sila, sabi ng batas, you are exempted. You are not criminally liable for that. Yan ang batas natin. So, sabi niya, you are exempted for a crime called parricide, which is reflected in the Article 246 of the Revised Penal Code. Yung batas na nagproprotekta sa atin sa pagpatay ng asawa or yung kapag naaktuhan natin tapos napatay natin, proprotektahan tayo ng batas. Ang sinasabi ng batas is we are exempted according to Article 247 naman yun of the Revised Penal Code. Yung Article 246 is telling that kapag nakapatay ka is napatay mo yung asawa mo na hindi mo naman naaktuhan o kaya hindi mo kayang i-justify na ginagawa nila yung sexual intercourse na yun, you will be held liable with a parricide na tinatawag nila. So, kakasuhan ka pag ganun. Pero kapag naaktuhan mo, you are exempted for that Article 246 or the parricide. Okay? So, another example would be you saw a wallet in the street. Nakakita ka ng wallet. Anong gagawin mo? Wallet lang walang laman. For example, merong laman, syempre. Merong lamang pera, merong lamang mga dollar, ganyan. Sabihin. So, ang tanong is it right to take it? Or is it right to return it to the police or owner? So, anong gagawin mo? Tama ba na iuwi mo na lang? Or tama ba na ibalik mo na lang? Commonly, in a normal mind of a person, you will return it back. So, ibabalik mo yon pag normal yung pag-iisip mo. Pero practically, hindi lahat ng tao will return it. Hindi lahat ng tao ibabalik sa kung saan may-ari. Kahit may ID or walang ID, hindi lahat ng tao is gustong ibalik yon. Because, especially, ngayon, di ba? Napakahirap ng buhay. Bakit kaya? Dahil ito, so, for example, di ba, kung hindi mo ibinalik, ang tingin ng ibang tao is tama lang yun. Pero ang tingin ng ibang tao is mali pa rin yun. Bakit kaya ganon? Na alam nating mali, pero ang notion ng karamihan is tama na yan, tama lang yan. So take note sa ibang bansa, kapag binalik mo yung yung wallet na napulot mo, hindi normal sa kanila yon. Okay? So, for example, ano bang bansang meron tayo ngayon? Ang US, di ba? For example, ang US. Kapag may napulot kang wallet, para sa kanila, hindi normal na ibabalik mo yan sa pulis. O kaya hindi normal na pupunta mo yung nakita mong wallet sa pulis. Ang normal para sa kanila is, syempre, sa kanila na. Kasi nga, napulot nila. So, bakit kaya ganon ang kaugalian natin? Or ano yung mindset natin? It is because of what? Because of this branch of ethics. Normative ethics. So, pag sinabi mong normative ethics, ang moral principles are based on norms. Or based on the set of considerations of how one should act. The moral principle is this: doing to other as we want them to do to us. So, parang yung golden rule ni Confucius. So norms, pag sinabi nating norms kasi, we are talking about the common practices of our environment or society. Common practices, kinaugalian, ito na yung nakasanayan. So kung sa ibang bansa, hindi normal ang magbalik ng wallet, sa ating bansa, normal. Totoo ba yan? Normal ba na magsauli ka na ngayon ng wallet? Pero sa ibang mga lugar, di ba, hindi normal kasi mahirap ang buhay. Pero dito sa La Union, wow, daming nagsusuli ng mga napupulot nila, di ba? Daming nababalitaan. So, in this branch of ethics, meron tayong iba't ibang theories na nakaangkla doon sa normative ethics. Mas makikita natin kung ano ba yung mga practices or ano ba yung mga ethical principles na pwede natin ma-gain or ma-learn from these theories. Okay? So we have consequentialism. Okay? So consequentialism is about the morality of action is contingent to the result of that action. From the word itself, consequence. The morality of action is contingent to the result of that action. Meaning, everything you do has consequence. Okay? Merong consequences. Gawin mo man ng tama o gawin mo man ang mali, merong consequence. If you do good, you will reap good. Pag nagchismis ka, pagchichismisan ka rin. Pag magalang ka, gagalangin ka rin. This is related to the philosophy of Buddhism under the so-called karma. Okay? I know, familiar kayo doon. Pero, alam nyo ba na kapag pinag-usapan ng karma, more on negative ang iniisip natin. Pero take note, kapag ang karma is not only talking about negative things, but may good karma, meron ding bad karma. Gumawa ka ng mali, asahan mong gagawan ka rin ng mali. Gagawin rin sa'yo ng mali. May gagawa rin sa'yo ng mali. Hindi ngayon, pero siguro darating, diba? This is not just the concept of or belief of a certain religion or teachings, no? But globally, it is widely accepted, including in Christianity. Kahit sa Kristyanismo, naniniwala tayo dyan. Naniniwala tayo dyan. Sabi ni Paul sa New Testament, the wage of sin is death. But the gift of the Holy Spirit is salvation. So, di ba? Ang kasalanan, ang kahinatnan niya is kamatayan. Pero kapag ang tinanggap mo ang Holy Spirit or you are doing the right things, you will receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, which is salvation. Now, there are theories within this theory, okay, behind this consequentialism. Una, utilitarianism. Right action to please a lot of people. So, ibig sabihin ng utilitarianism, you do the right thing and a lot of people will accept you and be glad with you. Ginagawa mo yung isang bagay, gumagawa ka ng tama para i-please yung ibang tao. Para kapag ginawa mo to, ibig sabihin, I will be accepted. Magandang mindset yon, na you are doing the right thing to please others, but syempre hindi rin tama na sobra yung motivation natin is yun lang, to please other people, no? It must be we are doing the right thing because it is the right thing, not because for the people. But sabi ng utilitarianism is this is the principle na gusto niyang iparating. You are doing the right thing because you want to please others. Okay? Hedonism. Meron ka bang kaibigan na gano'n? Wow, ang bait, pero parang ang ganda ng post niya sa FB. Scriptures, mga ganyan. Baka, pero pag sa buhay niya, sa personal life niya, nako, iba pala. They are doing the right thing. They are doing the right thing to share the word of God. But not because it is his life, but because to please other people. Marami sa ating ganyan. We are posting or we are doing things just to please other people. So, hedonism naman is fulfilling pleasures. If you do something that increase your pleasure or your desire, ang sabi ng hedonism, you are doing the right thing. So, when you buy your wants, it gives you happiness, right? Then, sabi ng theory of hedonism, it is right. Tama lang. But take note, anything na sobra is masama. Sabi nga ng Buddhism, di ba? Pero according to hedonism naman, tama lang yan. Sabi naman niya. So, ayan. So, pag sinabi natin ganong hedonism, yan, hedonism. Ganon ang mindset niya, yung theory niya. So, egoism naman. Self-interest. Pag sinabi natin egoism, it is when you do good for yourself. That means you are doing the right thing. Wow! Parang selfishness, ah. Okay? So, in other words, self-interest is a good thing. Sabi ng egoism, ego. So babalik tayo dun sa ego na meron tayo ngayon. If you are the boss, for example, you might just consider your own interests or ideas for a certain project. So, some boss might also consider other ideas and be humble to his employees. For him, being humble will lift him up. Wow, will increase his identity for his organization. So, in doing this, in result, na fulfill niya yung self-interest niya. So, pwedeng positive, pwede ding negative. So, for example, meron dalawang tao, no? Tagalogin natin. Yung dalawang tao, boss na dalawa sila. Yung isa is ginagawa, he consider or kinukuha niya yung mga ideas ng iba. Yung isa, kinukuha niya yung ideas ng iba kasi nga, kapag ginawa niya yon is mas makikilala siya, mas tataas yung humility na pagkakakilala sa kanya. So, ibig sabihin, ginagawa pa rin niya yon para sa sarili niya. Okay? Yung isa naman is talagang authoritative. Ibig sabihin, sarili lang niya yung gusto niyang i-consider. So, instead na mag-brainstorming, instead na magkaroon ng meeting, and this is our ideas. No. Ang ginagawa niya, ito yung decision ko, ito yung gagawin natin. So, self-interest pa rin yun. Parehong self-interest, pero somehow, yung isa is in a positive way. But, sabi ng egoism, this is the right thing to do. Okay? So, it depends on what particular action you are performing just to fulfill your interest. It may be good, it may be bad. But the point is, that is part of the right thing to do. Asceticism. Okay, so asceticism is more on spiritual inaction. So, spiritual goals. You are not doing anything just to please your desires. So, hindi siya parang hedonism or egoism. You are doing these things not because for your desires or pleasures. Instead, you are doing it to please God. Okay? If you do this action, you are just fulfilling your own pleasures. So, for example, mga action na sinasabi ko is, for example, is premarital sex. Diba? Sex before marriage. So, if you do this action, you are just fulfilling your own pleasures. Nasa part ka ng hedonism or egoism for your own interest. So, pero kapag ang ginawa mo is you abide to the commands of God, you are not doing it for your own pleasures anymore. You are doing it to please God. So hence, you are so-called egoist. Ay, mali. Baliktad. Hence, you are so-called kapag plini-please mo yung sarili mo at yung pleasures mo, you are so-called egoist na tinatawag nila or hedonist. Pero kapag ang motivation mo is to please God, then ang tawag naman sa iyo is ascetist. Asceticist. Ayun. May mga term na ginagamit. Okay? So, remember, asceticism, ano ba yan? Asceticism, yan. So, is a motivation to please God rather than yourself. So, pag ginawa mo yun, it is the right thing to do and it is the good thing to do. Alright? So, meron din tayong tinatawag na altruism. So, altruism is living for others. You are doing things for the benefit of others. For example, public servant. You're being a public servant. You're doing evangelism or you are a evangelist or missionaries. Diba? Kapag mga evangelist ka or missionaries ka, kwan yun. You're not doing it for yourself. You are doing it for God and for other people. So, you are in the part of altruism, theory of altruism. Pag ginawa mo daw yun, yun yung tamang direction, yun yung tamang gawin. So, ganun ang normative ethics. So, it covers a lot of theories na pwede nating matutunan at yun ay dahil sa mga norms na meron ang ating society. So, ang dami nating pinag-usapan pagdating sa theories na yan. Okay, so sa normative ethics, meron pang isang theory which is deontological ethics. So, pag sinabi mong deontological ethics, it is about disregarding consequence naman. So, parang kabaliktaran ng kanina. So, we have this, whether right or wrong, you will do it regardless of its results. So, example, it is right to be honest, even it will destroy a person. So, regardless of consequences, you are doing the right thing. So, that is deontological ethics. Now, there are several theories again that explains this ethics. Meron tayong Kantianism, meron din tayong moral absolutism, meron din tayong divine command theory. So, pag sinabi mong Kantianism, pinag-uusapan dyan ang universality and reciprocity. So, pag sinabi mong universality, yung principle of universality, it means everyone shall be doing it. So, no one is exempted. So, ibig sabihin, ang isang action ginagawa natin and walang dapat exempted. Ibig sabihin, lahat, kung anong ginagawa ko, dapat ginagawa ng lahat. Batas, for example, mga batas natin, kung ano yung batas, ito yung ginagawa natin, ito yung dapat gawin natin lahat. Hindi lang iisa, no? Reciprocity naman is the principle where there must be something in return. Kapag may ginawa ka, meron kang aasahan. Kaya nga, reciprocity. If you give something, you are expecting that something will be given also to you. So, for example, favor. Mag-ask ka ng favor. Later on, iisipin mo, ay, pag nag-ask siya ng favor, magbibigay din ako. Respect. Pag nagbigay ka ng respect, you assume that you will also receive respect. Utang. Diba? Pag utang, pinag-uusapan, nako, ang principle of reciprocity, kapag umutang ka, uutangan ka rin. Dapat may something na in return. Kung nagpautang ka, syempre, you are expecting that you will pay that utang. Okay? So, kapag pinautang mo yung kaibigan mo, for example, kapag ikaw na yung uutang, pautangan ka rin niya. So, ganun. Ano bang tawag doon? Give and take. Parang ganyan. Ganun ang reciprocity, no? This is, for example, when we say moral absolutism naman, wrong is wrong, right is right. Okay? This is the standard where wrong is wrong, ganyan. Mali, tama, ganyan. In political context, pag sinabi mong the end does not justify the means, kapag mali yung ginawa mo, kahit tama yung pamamaraan mo, is mali pa rin. So, bumalik lang tayo kanina. Parang ganun lang din ang moral absolutism, no? Whether or not your purpose is good, if the action is wrong, your action will always be labeled as wrong. So, for example, sa government natin, DOH. Ang DOH, may issue ngayon ng DOH, di ba? DOH buy overpriced mask and face shield. So, ino-audit na siya ngayon. Bumili sila ng pagkamahal-mahal na mask at saka face shield. Maganda yung purpose para sa komunidad. para sa ikaliligtas ng ating constituents. Pero, yung action or yung pamamaraan is mali. Bakit? Kasi nga overpriced transactions yung ginawa nila. Ang Red Cross, Philippine Red Cross, mas mura naman ang bili. Diba? So, in return, they will be charged with corruption and plunder. Papasok na dyan ang principle of reciprocity. Na babalik. Mali is mali. Ganyan. Yung reciprocity, ang ano yung ginawa mo is babalik sa'yo. So, from the world itself, kapag sinabi nating divine command theory, pag sinabi mong divine, it talks about God. Anything that God command as right are said to be right. Kung ano yung tama, yun ang tama. Anything that the Bible said wrong, then it is wrong, regardless of your explanation. Example, we talk about adultery. Alam mo naman, yan, parang kanina yung example natin, mga mistress, adultery yan. So, pag sinabi mong adultery kasi, ang nasa isipan natin, having a mistress or third party against your wife or husband. Ngayon, sabi ni Jesus, nasa divine command theory tayo ha. So, sabi ni Jesus, the moment you look on a woman or man up and down, lustfully, you are committing adultery. Pag daw, ang tingin mo sa babae at sa lalaki is parang ay minamanyak mo na yung yung sa isipan mo, minamanyak mo na siya. Kaya, iba na yung tingin mo, ganyan. You are committing adultery. So, yun ang standard ng Bible. Yun ang standard ni God. So, that is divine command theory. Right and wrong is based on the decree of God. And you must follow it because it is the moral principle of God. So, virtue ethics, isa pa sa mga theory within the normative ethics. Ang virtue ethics is the character and virtues determined by ethical behaviors. So, according to Plato, there are 4 cardinal virtues. Meron tayong prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude. Pag sinabi mo kasing prudence, we are talking about carefulness. So, itong virtue na to para siyang value na kailangan mong i-possess. So, carefulness, justice, fairness, or equality. Pag sinabi mong temperance, we are talking about self-discipline or yung control natin. And fortitude, courage or determination. So, yun yung tinatawag nating fortitude. Yung determination mo to achieve things. Yung courage na meron ka. When you have these virtues, sabi ng virtue ethics, you are ethical. Okay? Sige. So that is normative ethics. Nasa pangalawa pa lang tayo. Meta-ethics. The third branch of ethics is meta-ethics. So meta-ethics is an abstract way of thinking about ethics. It talks about origin of ethical concepts. So, yan ang meta-ethics. Pag sinabi mong abstract way of thinking, it means you're not just asking or telling that an action is good or bad, or right or wrong. Hindi mo lang sasabihin na, ay mali yan or tama yan. But also, you are looking deeper. So, mas malalim within the context of or origin of the situation through asking questions from another question. So, asking questions from another question. So, for example, papaano ko malalaman kung ikaw ay isang skilled na hospitality management student? Papaano ko malalaman kung ikaw ay expert sa isang bagay? Tatanungin ko lang ba sa'yo or expert ka ba dyan? Alam mo ba to? Ganun ba? Hindi. Ang gagawin ko is to look deeper on your answer. Pag sinabi mong, yes, I am competent, I am skilled, I am expert with that kind of work, anong gagawin ko? I will look deeper by asking another question, by giving follow-up question. If you said yes, then I will ask a follow-up question. What trainings you have attended? Meron ka na bang mga trainings? Sige nga. Have you passed the national certification? May NC2 ka na ba? Diba sa HM, meron kayong mga NC2 certification? Do you have any experience on hospitality management? Siyempre, sasabihin mong expert ka pero wala ka naman palang experience dyan. In this case, I can be able to identify if you are really competent. That's how meta-ethics work. Okay? It's a way, it's an abstract way of thinking about ethics. Hindi lang tatanungin mo, mali ba to or tama or mali. Pag sinabi mo, ikaw ba may kasalanan? Sasabihin niya, hindi. E paano mo malalaman kung totoo yung sinasabi niya? So, gagamit ka ng critical thinking skills. So, you are going to dig deeper within that kind of situation na sinasabi niya. Tatanungin mo ano ba yung origin ng situation, di ba? Origin of ethical concepts. So, last one, we have applied ethics. Okay? So, lesson 3 pa lang tayo, ha? Wala pa tayong lesson 4. Madami. So, applied ethics, it is a philosophical examination of issues, problems, moral questions, and judgment. So, pag sinabi mong applied ethics, these ethics are most commonly used ethics by professionals like doctors, teachers, administrators, rulers, even hospitality managers. Now, there are 6 domains of this branch. So, pag titignan mo, dami, di ba? Kahit sa iba't ibang branches, madaming domains. Sa applied ethics, meron tayong decision ethics, professional ethics, clinical, business, organizational, and social ethics. So, ayun. Pag sinabi mong decision ethics kasi, it talks about the ethical decision making process. So, paano ba magdesisyon ethically? Okay? Pag professional ethics, ito ay yung mga moral actions are yung moral actions na ginagawa ng mga professionals, mga teachers, administrators, doctors, ganyan. So, kaya nga tinawag na professional di ba? Paano ba yung behavior ng mga professionals? Ganyan, yung mga professional ethics. So, clinical ethics, of course, ethics within the context of hospitals or clinics. So, business ethics naman is used by marketers, used by corporations, private companies. Organizational ethics is used by private or public agencies like the government. So, for example, sa government is meron tayong code of ethics. So, yan ang ginagamit ng government agencies para i-control or i-monitor yung ethical behavior ng mga empleyado sa gobyerno. Meron din tayong labor code, di ba? Sa labor code, meron mga code of ethics yan na sinusunod ng mga pribadong kumpanya, pribadong organisasyon. So, ayan. Social ethics. Ito yung mga ethics or mga ethical behavior na ginagamit in different religions, cultures, di ba? Mga iba't ibang kultura, and the society itself. Alright. As you can see, ethics is a broad concept of philosophy where it covers a lot of branches and another branches from different domains. But now, we will focus on a particular branch which is the applied ethics. Okay? This will be discussed in lesson 3 of this module. Lesson 2 pa lang pala to. So, dami ng sinabi ko, lesson 2 pa lang tayo. Okay? So, dalawa pang lesson. Okay, so, kailang oras na ba tayo? Isang oras na. Okay, so tapusin na natin. Lesson 3 is applied ethics. So, pag sinabi mong applied ethics, sabi ko kanina, diba, philosophical examination, ganyan. It is devoted to treat moral problems, questions, issues, practices, and policies in personal life, professions, technology, and government. So, karamihan dyan ginagamit ang applied ethics. So, yung mga moral principles na pinag-usapan natin ngayon, ina-apply dyan sa mga different kind of sectors like government, technology, professions, personal life, diba? So, ano ba yung mga trinitreat niya na sinasabi niya? Ano ba yung mga gusto niyang i-clarify? Mga issues. Ito yan. Mga examples is abortion. So, sabi niya, is tama ba na yung practices of abortion, yung method of abortion, tama ba kapag kailan mo sasabihin na may buhay na ang isang fetus o kaya ang isang bata, 'di ba? So, maraming questions 'yan. Yun yung purpose ng applied ethics in order to treat this kind of moral problems. Euthanasia, pag sinabi mong euthanasia, is mercy killing. For example, sa isang ospital, meron isang tao na namamatay na, parang comatose siya. And then, sabi ng doktor, wala nang pag-asang magising. O kaya wala nang pag-asang makasurvive. Kapag nakasurvive naman siya, is parang lantang gulay na lang. Diba? So, parang mahihirapan lang din siya kapag buhay pa siya. So, ang gagawin ngayon ng doktor is to ask the family kung they will allow to perform euthanasia. So, kasi nga, yung pasyente, for example, is ang bumubuhay na lang sa kanya is yung makina, yung technology. Kapag wala na yon, wala na siyang buhay. So, minsan, mahirap na desisyon yon talaga. So, ngayon, yun ang euthanasia. Kapag pinerform nila yung euthanasia, tatanggalin nila yung machine sa pasyente and then, mamamatay na siya. Mercy killing ang tawag doon. Okay? Even without the permission of the patient itself. Kung ikaw yung pasyente, for example, is i-allow mo ba yon? Yung euthanasia na yon? I-allow mo ba na ang pamilya mo gugustuhin na lang mawala ka para hindi ka na maghirap? Mabuhay ka man, maghihirap ka din. Anong saysay? Parang ganun. So, di ba napakahirap na desisyon? So, maybe you will say yes or you will say no with euthanasia. So, giving to the poor. Kanina pa ako nabubulol. Ubus na ata ng kwan ko. Ubus na ata yung boses ko. Dire-diretso tayo. So, giving to the poor. Yung pagbibigay sa mga pulube, tama ba or mali? Diba? Isang moral problem yon. Ang ginagawa ng gobyerno sa Manila minsan is, siyempre, kinukuha nila yung mga namumulube, yung mga pulube para dalhin sa DSWD. So, sa tingin nyo, tama ba na magbigay tayo sa mga pulube? Ang iniisip kasi ng iba, kapag nagbigay ka, is baka maging dahilan para maging mas lalong tamarin siya. Diba? Hindi na magtrabaho, ganyan. Capable naman, pero yun yung trabaho niya. Capable naman siya, pero namamalimos lang. Diba? Maraming mga issues dyan. premarital sex. So, ayan. Very big issue yan. Very big issue ngayon. Especially when it comes to morality. Kasi nga, we know na premarital sex is a wrong actions of an individual. Because marriage is sacred, sabi nga sa church, diba? So, premarital sex is parang ginagawang normal na lang yan sa generasyon ngayon. Pero, isa yan sa mga moral issues na pinag-uusapan ng ating mga ethicists. Death penalty. So, napakalaking issue niyan noon. Kasi nga, meron tayong death penalty sa Pilipinas dati. Meron tayong electric chair ba yun? Yung ngay, pag nasampahan ka ng death penalty, is papatayin ka sa pamamagitan ng electricity. Talagay, kakalbuhin ka, ganyan. Tapos, kukuryentin yung ulo mo para mabilis yung pagkamatay. Also, another is yung poison. I-injectan ka, mamamatay ka na. So, tama ba yun? Pero especially ngayon, di ba? Meron na tayong Commission on Human Rights. Pinoprotektahan na ng Commission ang karapatang pantao. Same-sex marriage. Yan, malaking issue na naman yan. Sa ibang bansa, inaalam nila. Dito sa Pilipinas, hindi. So, sa tingin nyo, itong mga moral issues na ito, is it right or is it wrong? Now, let's talk about the development of applied ethics. 5th century and 13th century, before the existence of Augustine and Aquinas, ethics are now a question between the two philosophers, Plato and Aristotle. So, pinag-uusapan na yan, yung ethics na yan. Wala pa yung mga philosophers like Augustine and Aquinas. So, in the 5th century and 13th century, applied ethics are now introduced and explained. So, ayan. So, pumapasok na dyan sina Augustine and Aquinas. Si Augustine and Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas kasi yung pangalan ni Aquinas. So, in 19th century, ang ethics as a discipline is declining. Ibig sabihin, ang ethics kasi isang discipline, isang subject sa isang university. O kaya, mga kurso na. Ba? Ngayon, ibig sabihin, declining, pababa. Ibig sabihin, hindi na masyadong ginagamit. Fewer and fewer analyze more problems in the real world. So ngayon, pakonte ng pakonte yung nagbibigay ng mga essays or mga synthesis with regard to the moral problems na meron sa society. So for example, mga death penalty, mga abortion, euthanasia, iilan na lang yung nag-explain or nagbibigay ng kanilang mga moral principles in solution to that problems in the society or even in the government. So, in result, ethics in academics became unproductive and stagnant. So, dahil hindi na masyadong ginagamit ang ethics noong 19th century, is naging unproductive ang ethics in academics and naging stable na lang. Stagnant, ibig sabihin nandun na lang siya. Pinag-aaralan pero wala namang nangyayari, hindi na na-apply, mga ganyan. So, the field of medicine saved the existence of ethics. Buti na lang, ang medicine is parang sinalba niya ang ethics mula sa pagiging unproductive or pagkakaroon ng declinement. Due to what? New problems. Ibig sabihin may mga bago kasing mga problema na naging questionable sa morality. And then, pumasok na yung mga ethicists. So, for example, yung sinasabi natin, yung euthanasia kanina, di ba? Naging issue yon because, syempre, mahirap i-determine kung anong dapat desisyon na kailangang ibigay. So, syempre sa pamilya, kung iisipin mo, parang hindi ito makatarungan para sa anak nila o kaya sa kasama nila na pasyente. And then tatanggalin mo yung machine na nakalagay sa kanya para lang hindi na siya mahirapan. Pero hindi natin alam kasi yung nararamdaman or yung gusto naman ng pasyente. Ibig sabihin, baka ngay lumalaban naman siya. So, naging issue yan. Naging malaking usapan yan kung saan pumasok ang mga ethicists para magbigay ng explanation, magbigay ng different conclusions para dito. So, ayun, nabuhay ulit ang ethics as a discipline. Okay? So, in 1970s, moral problem again arise. Ayan, dumadami na ang mga problema sa society. Dahil doon, pumapasok ulit ang mga ethicists. Diyan na naman sila. Para silang mga philosophers, mga theologians, o kaya mga thinkers, ang mga ethicists na yan. So, moral problems, kagaya ng gender inequality. So, parang, dati kasi, hindi pwedeng magtrabaho ang mga babae, diba? Social injustice, what else? Poverty, war. Yan yung mga moral problems na pinag-usapan dati. So, meron din tayong maltreatment of animals. O, yan, mga issue natin. Noong 1970s. Kung wala ang mga issues na ito, kung wala ang mga bagong mga problema na ito, ang ethics siguro hindi na yan pinag-uusapan. Kung ano yung normative na norms na kinaugalian natin, yun na lang siguro yung tama, di ba? Sasabihin ng church, tama ito, hindi tama. Pero sasabihin ng society, ay tama rin ito, tama rin. So, parang kapag walang ethics or wala yung mga moral problems na ito, siguro naging stagnant na lang din. Hindi na naging productive ang ethics ngayon. Okay. Yun ang nangyari sa 19th century. Also, noong 19th century, books are published in this era. So, talking about different issues and problems of the society. Ito yung mga libro na mas nakilala noong 19th century. Theory of Justice, Practical Ethics, Principle of Biomedical Ethics. Okay? So, 20th century, moral problems brought by new technologies. Ito na. So, marami na tayong mga technologies ngayon sa 20th century. Dumating na yung makabagong teknolohiya. Meron na tayong mga iPhone, meron na tayong mga different computer systems, mga desktop, laptop, diba? So, ang naging issue dyan is privacy. Pagdating naman sa mga technologies in medical, naging issue dyan yung quality ng services ng isang technology. Ayan, maraming mga pinag-usapan dyan, maraming mga issues with regards to technologies. So, ngayon kapag nasa internet ka, hindi mo na rin alam kung nahahack ka na ba or hindi pa. Diba? So, ganyan ang applied ethics, pinag-usapan ang iba't ibang mga problema, moral problems in the society. And then, suddenly, marami ng mga philosophies, marami ng mga ideas na lumalabas in response to the moral problems brought by different aspects or concepts like mga technologies, etc. So, there are moral principles of ethical decision making. Paano ba tayo mag-decide or paano ba tayo mag-iisip para maging ethical yung behavior natin? Number 1, the principle of beneficence. So, ang principle of beneficence na tinatawag natin is moral obligation for the benefit of others. So, paano? Ang moral obligation, sabi niya, it means your duty. So, trabaho mo. It is your responsibility to what? To focus on what will benefit to others. Kung gagawa ka ng isang action ang unang-unang iisipin mo is ano bang makakabuti para sa lahat. So for example, magtatrabaho ka o kaya mag-a-apply ka. Bakit ka ba mag-a-apply? Siyempre, gagawin mo yun para sa pamilya mo. Bakit ka ba magtatrabaho? Para sa mga gastusin mo, di ba? Para sa ibang mga tao, mga pamilya mo, mga kapatid mo, ganyan. You are doing it for the benefit of others. That is an ethical decision, an ethical behavior na pwede mong i-apply. So, sabi ng principle of beneficence, dapat ang iniisip natin yung kapakanan ng iba. Paano? You protect them, rescue them, secure them, secure their safety. In that way, you have fulfilled your moral duty. Another principle is the non-maleficence. So, kanina, for the benefit of others. Ito naman ngayon, yung trabaho mo para huwag magbigay ng harm sa ibang tao. So, do no harm ang notion dito, yung parang principle. Huwag kang gagawa ng masama. Huwag kang gagawa ng hindi makakabuti sa iba. Kabaliktaran ng beneficence. What I mean kabaliktaran is, dati, iniisip mo is yung kapakanan niya. Ngayon, ang iniisip mo sa non-maleficence is ano yung hindi ano yung bagay na hindi makakabuti sa kanya. Yun yung wag mong gagawin. Okay? So, moral obligation not to inflict harm to others. So, wag kang pamatay. Isipin mo yun, wag kang magiging dahilan ng pain or suffering ng iba. Huwag kang mangangabit. Huwag kang magiging cause ng hiwalayan ng iba, di ba? Huwag kang magiging cause ng frustration ng iba. So yun yung principle of non-maleficence. Okay? So we have autonomy, principle of autonomy. It is about your duty to respect the decisions of adults. Ibig sabihin, your duty to respect the elders, yung mas mataas sa'yo, yung mas ahead sa'yo, kailangan mong irespeto kung ano man yung decision nila, kung ano ba yung katotohanan para sa kanila, and yung mga taong mas knowledgeable sa'yo. So, you have that obligation to respect them. So, sa trabaho, syempre, you are obliged to respect your superiors, your seniors. I mean, seniors is yung matagal na sa'yo, bata man siya pero mas experienced na siya sa trabaho ngayon. So, you need to respect their decisions. Okay? Paano? Tell the truth, respect the privacy of others, protect their confidential information, ganyan. Justice. Pag sinabi mong justice kasi, we are talking about equitable distribution of benefits. So, kung magbibigay ka ng ayuda, hindi mataas or hindi mababa, dapat pantay-pantay. So, kung bibigyan ka ng opportunity para magkaroon ng scholarship, siyempre, yung magbigay ng scholarship, for example, ikaw yung sponsor, siyempre, dapat yung mga scholars mo pare-parehas yung benefits. Diba? So, paano mo yun gagawin? You need to provide an equal share, equality based on needs, benefits according to the effort, and contributions. So, ngayon, pinag-usapan natin kanina yung mga ethicists na tinatawag natin. Ano ba yung role nila? They are the specialists of ethics who is devoted to ethical principles and their judgments are respected. So, pag sinabi mo kasing ethicists, para silang mga philosophers na nagbibigay ng kanilang mga explanations, conclusions, mga ideas, insights with regards to different moral issues or moral problems. So, they are devoted to ethical principles. So, sila yung mga expert. Sila yung mga professionals na pwedeng magsabi ng tama or mali based on different kind of principles. So, for example, sina Aristotle, yung mga philosophies nila, St. Augustine, tapos sina St. Thomas Aquinas, Plato, Adam Smith, B.F. Skinner, and different thinkers. Ano ba yung role nila? Ang role nila is to listen, clarify its relevance, interpret, and reconstruct ethical substance. So, ibig sabihin, ang role nila is to observe, and then they will clarify things in human reasoning. So, ibig sabihin, they will justify things and clarify it based on their human intelligence. To provide good arguments. Ayan. So, arguments. Yan yung pinakamagandang part na role nila para magbigay ng kanilang mga opinion o kaya mga argumento na sa tingin nila is makakatulong or tamang gawin. Necessary in a particular situation or position. And last would be to act as an interpreter and moderator rather than a judge. So, interpreter in a way na they will evaluate, assess different kinds of situations, and moderate things. But they will not give a judgment or a decision. It's up to the person who will provide his own decision based on the interpretation and clarification of the ethicist. Okay. So, lesson 4 na tayo, professional ethics. So, pag sinabi mong professional ethics, it is an ethics of professional life. So, mga professional, parang pinag-usapan natin yung buhay ng mga professional. So, it develops norms, standards, and requirements in activities of professionals. So, ito yung mga nakikita ninyo, yung mga behavior, yung mga good, right actions ng mga professionals. Ayan. Mga standard, mga principles ng mga professionals. Paano ba sila mag-perform. Yun yung professional ethics. So, what defines a professional? Paano masasabing professional ng isang tao? Number 1, education. Of course, mataas ang pinag-aralan, merong pinag-aralan, and then merong professional degree, parang ganyan. So, may bachelor's degree, o kaya master's degree, o doctorate degree. Yan, yung mga professionals na tinatawag natin. Or even mga nakapasa ng mga board exams, ganyan. Mga board passers, they are professionals. So, specialization. Siyempre, lahat ng professionals merong expertise. Hindi lahat alam nila. Okay? So, hindi ibig sabihin professional, alam na niya lahat. No. Meron siyang specialization. Meron siyang field of expertise. For example, for us, teachers, ang specialization namin, ako mismo, is in public administration. Systems, mga different theories o kaya iba't ibang mga applications in governance, I am specialized with that. Kasi nga, nandun ako sa Department of Public Administration. That is my specialization. Pag pinag-usapan ng mga batas, ng mga ordinansa, ganyan, it is our expertise. Okay? So, paano ba gumawa ng mga resolutions? Sa inyo, as a hospitality management, yung core competencies nyo, parang bread and beverage, ganyan. Food and beverage, I mean. Okay? So, tourism, yun yung mga specialization ninyo. Network or organization, syempre, yung connections ninyo. Meron ba kayong mga organizations? Meron ba kayong mga associations? Diba? So, ang professional is meron siyang mga organizations na membership. Okay? So autonomy, position at work. Syempre, may mga matataas na position, may mga magandang ranggo, ganyan. Sila yung mga professional. Ethical codes, of course, they are following set of standards when it comes to their behaviors and professional activities. No, sa government, sabi ko kanina, meron tayong tinatawag na Code of Ethics, wherein the Public Act 6713 or the Code of Ethics of Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards of Public Officials and Employees are bounded with this kind of law. Okay? So, yun yung professional na tinatawag natin. So, kung may kilala kayong professional dyan, pero walang ethics, nako, magtaka na kayo. Kung may kakilala kayong mga professional na tao, kapitbahay, o kaya mga kaibigan ninyo, pero when it comes to ethical behavior, walang sinisunod na standard, hindi parang yung expectation mo pag professional ka, di ba? Dapat you act as a professional. Okay? So, pag may utang ka, kung professional yung nakautang sa'yo, dapat magbabayad yan. Pero kung hindi magbabayad yan, hindi yan professional. Hindi ganyan mag-isip ang isang professional individual. Okay? So, nasa mindset din yan. And nasa ethical behavior. So, moral norms and duties. Ano ba yung mga kailangan natin i-consider when it comes to norms and duties? Una, relations to people dependent on professional work and service. For example, teacher-student. So, ano ba yung norms? Ano ba yung mga ethical behaviors na kailangan nating isipin pagdating sa relations to people dependent on professional work and service? Kung teacher ka, you act as a teacher. Kung student, you act as student. Do not act like a tropa, di ba? Kung teacher. Kung nasa school kayo, then you respect your teachers. And then, as a teacher, you act like a teacher. And you treat your student as a student. Hindi parang anak, kapatid, ganyan. I mean na hindi parang anak is yung mga requirement. They are exempted, parang ganyan. No. Moral norms considers the relations in a way na dapat you act as your profession. Doctor-patient, you act as a doctor, you act as patient. Diba? Salesman, customer. Ano ba yung norms dito? Honesty, trust, care, and safety. Relations to workmates. Ayan, mga katrabaho ninyo, kung sino yung mga nagtatrabaho dyan. Ano ba yung ethical behavior o yung mga kaugalian ninyo dyan sa loob ng trabaho ninyo, sa loob ng kumpanya nyo. So, gaano ba ka-intact yung relationship ninyo, and then, maganda ba yung ethical behavior ng bawat isa. So, ano ba yung mga norms na pwede ninyong makuha or matutunan? Loyalty and solidarity. So, solidarity is about unity, okay? So, relations to employers. Employer-employee relationship. So, syempre, kung ikaw ay empleyado at may boss ka, you act as an employee, not like a boss. Okay? Marami sa atin act like a boss. Hindi naman boss. Diba? So, dapat matuto tayo kung ano yung sino tayo. Diba? Matuto tayong lumugar kung ano yung identity natin. Okay? So, norms, loyalty and confidentiality. So, there are ethical guidelines in professional ethics. So, we have ethics as a process. Siyempre, hindi basta-basta kapag pinag-usapan ng ethics, meron ka bang ethics, hindi basta-basta nagigain yung good moral behavior. It is a process. Ibig sabihin, natututunan at saka step by step. There is a procedure para mas ma-develop yung ethical behavior na meron tayo. Especially when you are going to develop yourself as a professional. So kapag gusto mong maging professional na individual, it is still a process. Yung ethics is still a process. Okay? Yung behavior is still a process. Hindi basta-basta napapalitan or kaya mo na agad mag-adapt o kaya mo na agad mag-change ng behavior. No. It's the process. Ethics brings desired behaviors. Of course, kung may ethics ang mga kasama mo, sa kaklase mo, sa mga katrabaho mo, mga teachers mo, maganda yung ethical behavior nila. Diba, nakakainganyo, nakaka-encourage mag-aral, nakaka-encourage matuto, nakaka-encourage mag-strive, mag-develop yung sarili, and it brings desired behaviors among constituents or different audience or your clients. Ganon din pag nasa kumpanya ka na. Siyempre, kapag maganda yung ugali mo as a supervisor, yung mga kasamahan mo, maganda rin ang ugali sa'yo. It reflects of who you are. Diba? Yung mga kasama mo. Avoid the trap of ethical dilemmas. So, yung mga guidelines na ito is kailangan nakakatulong siya para iwasan yung mga problema. Pag sinabi mo kasing dilemmas, mga problema, problems or issues in terms of ethical aspects. So, another is publication of ethical decisions. So, dapat yung decisions natin is common to all. Dapat alam at saka nakikita ng iba. Ibig sabihin is we are following different standards which is reflected doon sa nakikita ng karamihan o kaya sa trabaho mo, sa environment natin, dapat it is open. Okay? Yung nakikita, this is something na nararamdaman. Yung mga behaviors na meron ka when it comes to decisions, when it comes to ethical decisions. So, pag nag-decide ka, you are recognized that you have that kind of ethical decisions. Now, so ethical dilemmas na pinag-usapan natin, for example, misrepresentation, misuse of data, manipulation and coercion, value and goal conflict, and technical ineptness. Pag misrepresentation, ito yung policy, bawal ang hindi naka-ID, pero sinasabi mo, pwede. Diba? Pwedeng hindi mag-ID, ganyan. So, ano bang mga another misrepresentation? Ito yung mga benefits, pero in-exaggerates mo. For example, nasa tourism industry ka, sir, pag kumuha ka ng ganito, ito yung mga benefits na makukuha mo. Pero, yung benefits na yon in-exaggerate mo, minisrepresent mo na ngayon yung mga benefits na makukuha niya. Ang expectation ngayon ng client is mas mataas doon sa benefits na nakalagay doon sa policy, pero hindi pala. So, ibig sabihin, false statement of the fact. So, yung totoo is either hindi mo sinasabi or either ine-exaggerate mo. Misrepresentation. Mali yung pagkaka-explain mo, mali yung pagkaka-represent mo ng policy or program or benefits within a certain organization or a project or a program. Alright? Misuse of data, of course, abuse of information, manipulation and coercion, abuse of authority, value conflict, mismanagement, mga ganyan, technical ineptness, pagiging incompetent, hindi pala niya alam, in-hire mo siya, tapos hindi pala siya marunong. Diba? So, nagiging ineffective tuloy. Yung mga problema when it comes to professional ethics na kailangan nating tignan, i-consider, and i-develop. Alright? So, I hope na marami kayong natutunan with regards to professional ethics, the branches of ethics, applied ethics, and professional development and its learning process. So, that ends our discussion. And I hope na marami tayong na-gain when it comes to professional development for Module 1. And the introduction pa lang yan Wala pa tayo sa ibang mga activities with regards to implementation of professional development for hospitality management. Okay, so that ends our discussion for this Module 1. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you are safe right now, and for your activity, na-send ko naman na yung mga activities ninyo, and then sabihin nyo na lang siya on time. And then, another activity would be your reactions, your comments with regards to our discussion, mga questions, pwede nyong ilagay sa comment section. Okay? So, don't forget to like para naman ma-encourage ako pagdating sa paggawa ng mga videos. And makita ko na ay you appreciate the video and you appreciate the discussions. Okay? So, don't forget to like this video and comment your reactions, questions, or suggestions that you might be provided for us. Okay? So, thank you so much for listening. Ingat tayong lahat. God bless.